just want to say, Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you for
You're
all the
welcome.
kind words about me.
Oh,
And
yeah, man. Your presentation, they still talk about it to this day at the MUFON. And the second one, they're even more enthralled about that whole presentation. They were just crazy over it.
It's because I am a lifelong experiencer, and it's not one event, not two events, not three events. It's my entire existence that this has been going on. I mean, since I was 4.5 years old is when my memories of it all began. And it's very deep and very in-depth to the point that I'm not just an alien abductee, contactee, but I'm also an alien-human hybrid. I am them. They are my parents, and that's what they told me when I was 4.5 years old, when they came to me in that atrium. I was scared as a little kid, and three hooded beings standing there about 2.5 feet tall because they're eye level with me on that chase lounge. And I remember looking at them and just saying, "Who are you?" And when they said, "We're your parents," I said, "You can't be. My parents are in bed sleeping in the house." And they said, "No, those are just your guardians." So, that didn't make much sense back then. It really, to me, it just didn't really quite jive until my mid-20s, early 20s. That's when it all really kind of came to a point. My mom saw me having a lot of troubles with what's going on because I was different, and kids just treated me different, and even my own brothers and sisters treated me different. And Mom finally told me, she says, "You're different because you are different, Michael." She says, "I want to tell you something." She says that before I was pregnant, I had memories of being on a craft. She says, and then after I became pregnant with you, I have memories of being on a craft. She says, so there's something very different about you because of that. And she even related this to Susie, who's also on the phone right now, just so you know.
Hello.
Yay, Susie, hi.
Susie heard her relate. Susie heard her relate this to her. So it's not just one experience. It's my life. It's my being. It's my fiber. I am linked with them. There's been one experience after the other, like I said, and the bottom line is the book is just like it's like a preview, really. The book is just kind of like a synopsis of experiences that led me up to where I am now. And I actually have photos that Susie and my daughter and my step-granddaughter and all of them were in a car when I took these pictures back in 2013 of gray alien beings in the barn where I grew up, where my photography darkroom was as a kid. Okay, and I used to spend all of my time in that darkroom taking photos. And that barn has a very weird significance to it. Because of that. And basically we returned there as we were heading to my niece's wedding, and we stopped in there. And I snapped some pictures, okay? When I got home, we didn't even really know what was on the pictures until we put them into the computer, and when we were examining them, it was just one thing after the other. Gray alien beings, orbs, just all kinds of things. I mean, walking into that barn was kind of like a Twilight Zone. We left there in
Hey, Mike, I don't mean to interrupt, but we've got a long show ahead of us, so let's do this. Let's start with that first incident when you were 4.5 years old, and tell the people what, a little more detail about what happened at that point. And and I know this is going to sound strange, but did your mother ever divulge to you that maybe your father wasn't really your father?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to jump ahead there and I'll go back there.
Okay.
My dad thought that my mom was cheating, okay? And that's what she explained to me. She says, "Michael," she says, "I would tell you now." She says, "If you had another father, you're in your 20s, she says, I would tell you now that he's not your father, that there is some other guy that was your father." She says, "But the bottom line is, we weren't sexually active." She says, "I was with no other man." She says, "So it came to surprise me." She says, "When I missed my cycle," she says, "and I went to the doctor, and he told me I was pregnant," she says, "I was blown away." She says, "Dad wanted me to abort you, and I refused to abort you." She said, "It was just a strange set of circumstances when you became pregnant." So jumping ahead to that barn real fast, at one point when I hit 13, my mom and dad had marital problems, and I believe a lot of it stemmed from me being so different, and my dad knew there was some detachment between me and him, but he couldn't quite figure out what it was. When my mom left him for some other guy at that particular point, he brought me into that barn. We were out on that farm all by ourselves, the two of us, and it was like a horror film. There was two incidents. One, when I woke in the bed in the morning, I was in my like 12, 13 years old, And it was a Saturday morning, and he was getting ready to go to work. And my eyes are opening, and he's standing above a bed with his hand stretched out like he's going to strangle me in my sleep, okay?
Oh, God.
And as I opened my eyes, he shook his hands and his head, and he walked out of the room, okay? So, and that was the first event there. Then the following weekend, he came into my bedroom, and I had headphones on, listening to music, and he told me, come with me to the barn. He brought me out to that barn, and he basically asked if I knew what the wheelbarrow, shovel, hoe, and rake was for in the corner, and I said, I don't know. He said, you're supposed to shovel all the horse dung out of the stall. And I said, I must have forgot. He said, well, let me teach you a lesson. He says, about forgetting. He said, I'm going to teach you another lesson. He says, you're not my son. He called me I didn't want to skip. I'm not going to say the names that he said to me. He called me really raunchy names, okay? I had a cross earring in my left ear, just so you know, and this is something Susie knows about, too. It was a post that I had done when I was 13 because I thought it was cool and I wanted a cross in it. Mom allowed it. Well, my first thing my dad did was take that cross earring in my ear and ripped it through my lobe and threw it across the barn, then called me a name, just ripped it right through my whole lobe, okay? Then, to this day, by the way, I still have issues with that ear, the same ear. As a matter of fact, just last month, it turned into a big abscess lump under there where he ripped it through.
Wow.
But he picked me up by my neck and was strangling me and was killing me. He says, you're not my son. He says, you are not my son. And as he kicks me across the stall, he did this repeatedly until I was laying on the floor blacking out. And at that point, the barn walls, all the cracks in it turned white, and all these white orbs started falling down. Millions of them, just literally millions.
Oh my
and he was lifted. As I was laying on the ground, black. I thought I was dying. I thought, this is it. I'm dying. Of bright white lights. I figured he was killing me. So I see his feet lift off the ground, and he goes sailing across the barn stall. And this happened 3 times, and I hear a voice say, "Run, Mike, run." So that's what I did. I started running out of the barn. As I reached the first gate, the gate's already open for me. I reached the barn door. That's open for me. And I head to the house, and the house door is open for me. And I'm wondering, what's going on? Anyway, so I go to the hall closet, and I hide in there. I go behind some boxes and behind all the clothes. And I'm waiting for him to come in. I'm sitting in that closet. It seemed like, I don't know, hours, but it was probably about 20 minutes. And that's when he came storming in the house. And I thought he's going to finish me off. And he starts screaming, "Mike, come here, come here." I go, oh no, he's going to kill me. He says, "Come here." And so I just figured I better come out there. So I came out, and he said, "I'm sorry." He said, "I should never have laid my hands on you, so I'll never do this again." And he didn't, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a point that I believe he never could, even to his dying day, tell me what happened there on his deathbed. The day before he died, he was dying of cancer. I asked him, "So, Dad, what happened in that barn to you?" He says, "I don't know, son. I can't explain it." So something happened to him, and at that point, I believe he was informed that I really wasn't his kid. And even my grandmother said to him, because he used to beat me a lot as a kid, and my grandmother used to say, "Don't you dare lay your hands on him. You know what? He's not even your child. He's his mom's child." And, you know, so this was seated in his head. I wasn't his kid, and I really wasn't his kid. I looked nothing like him. I looked just like my mom. And what I am is a biomass material. My mom was genetically implanted with Gray's DNA, and that's what I am. I'm part them and part my mom. And so I've lived life with this.
Now, let me ask you a few questions, and then we'll go back to being 4.5, because we got plenty of time. But here's the question I've got for you. Because you are a hybrid, do you have any extraordinary gifts or talents that you want to share with us?
Let's have Susie answer that. Do I, Susie?
Yes, he does. He knows that stuff's going to happen before it happens, for example.
Oh, interesting.
Constantly.
Very interesting.
And I'll tell her something is going to happen, and she'll say, "No." And I say, "It's going to happen." And this is time after time after time. And she goes, "How did you know?" I just know. It's like, I get overshadowed with these foreboding feelings. So oftentimes, they'll come to me right as I'm falling asleep, warnings of events. Usually, people say, "Well, let's go to the casino." Okay. But no, it doesn't work that way.
God, I wish it did. Wouldn't that be nice?
But by the way, that's a whole nother ball of wax that something that's recent has just been really implanted in me, and that's about our whole Earth's future. evolutionary process what's going to happen, and
Let's
money.
talk
is not,
about that near the end of the show. If you
Yes,
don't mind.
because
Yeah.
it's quite an incredible thing that's going to happen here on this planet. And first of all, let's go back to the time when I was a child. Okay.
Yeah, let's do.
You know, like I said, I was 4.5 years old, and we used to live in Lucas Valley. And literally, I was 6 miles over the mountains from George Lucas, oddly enough. But he wasn't. Lucas Valley was never named after George Lucas. He just moved there, I guess, because it was Lucas Valley. But
I know. Isn't that funny? People always tell me, "Oh, you live in Marin. That's where George Lucas has his property, and they named it."
He
after.
does. He was 7 miles by crow flight from us.
Yeah, exactly. But I used to laugh because I'd say, "You don't understand. It was called Lucas Valley before he showed up, folks."
Yes, he did. Yes, it was. But oddly enough, we had an Eichler home, which was in lower Lucas Valley. Then there was upper Lucas Valley. And that Eichler home, I don't know if anybody's familiar with them, but they have a center of the house that was, people have built them because I guess a lot of burglaries happened, but there was an open-roofed atrium in the center of it. It was really cool. There was like my mom had all of her garden and stuff all the way around it, and there's a patio in there. And you had to come through the front door of the house into this atrium area with the open roof, and it had all glass windows all the way around it and sliding glass doors into the house. And it really was a way cool little area in there. And the whole back of the house was all glass, too. That was the cool feature of them. And what my brothers and sisters used to do, and I did during the spring and summer months, is we had cots out there, chase lounges and cots. We'd take our sleeping bags out there and sleep under the stars. And my brothers would act like they knew so much, my older brothers, so much about stars and this and that. And I was just a little tyke, and every time I'd say something, they'd tell me to be quiet. And they'd go on about, that's the Big Dipper, this and that. Anyway, one night they're doing this, and my brother did tell me, he says, about the crickets. He says, if you hear crickets, he says, you know everything's cool. He says, but if you don't hear the crickets, that means somebody's sneaking up or an animal or something. And, so I was taught that at a young age. So I was sleeping in my chaise lounge cot, and then suddenly the crickets stop. So I open my eyes, and I look up across the roof. They're looking for a cat or something coming in. And, well, there was nothing there, so I laid back down, and I go back to sleep. I rolled to my left side, and I just felt like this weird feeling. It's just strange. And I opened my eyes again. As I open them up, there's these three little short, very short, hooded beings. And I mean, I've seen different grays. I've seen very short ones, and these ones were 2.5 feet, because they were eye level with me in a Chase Lounge cot. And they had hoods.
So they're very small. I get that. But are they truly the grays, or are they a different type of species?
They are the gray. They are the gray.
Gotcha.
They are definitely the gray. They have a little different shaped eyes than your typical gray, but they're definitely the gray. And I think here's what I believe is going on. I believe they use these little beings to basically introduce themselves to children, so children aren't as frightened. But I was scared. Okay, I opened my eyes and I just see them.
Well, that makes total sense.
I was petrified.
I'd be petrified. Yeah, I was going to say, I'd be just like, it's terrible to be a kid and see that kind of thing when you're not told they're real.
Oh my God, seriously. There was no explaining it. I didn't know what it was. I thought, you want to know the truth, what I really thought?
Yeah.
I thought my brothers and sisters were playing a trick on me.
Oh, yeah.
I thought my older brothers, because I had other older brothers, there were three of them, there were three little beings. I thought my older brothers put robes over their head and were standing by there, and it wasn't them, though. I could hear them in the back snoring, okay? So it wasn't them, and I'm fixated on these beings. And I'm terrified, and they go, who are you? And I go, we're your parents. I go, you can't be my parents. My parents are inside the house. They said, those are your guardians. We are your parents. We're taking you with us for now. We will bring you back. And that's the last thing I remember. I went out. Next thing I wake up, it's morning. I'm in my sleeping bag. I'm soaking wet because I wet my sleeping bag and everything else. My dad was furious at me about the wet sleeping bag and basically wanted to beat me. Mom was asleep. Then he said, you wake her up. He says, you're in deep trouble. And Mom came out and ended the fight. And, and I tasked my dad. I said, at that point, he said, why did you wet your sleeping bag? I said, I was scared. Who were those little men that came in the atrium? He goes, what men came in the atrium? I said, I don't know. Some little men. He said, what did they look like? And I said, they were just little short men, not much taller than my Chase Lounge. And they had hoods over their head, Dad. He goes, oh, my God. He said, you're not sleeping out there again. And that was it. He would not let any one of us kids sleep out there again. So.
Oh, my God. See, now that's kind of good in a way. You know, he was trying to protect you.
Yeah, but I don't know if he was trying to protect me or if he thought I wasn't allowed to broach the subject. The whole alien subject, I was not allowed to even broach it. You don't understand. He was Air Force Reserves and an old macho man, the whole type of thing. And he didn't want to hear. He didn't want to hear about things that aren't supposed to exist or be real. And he didn't want a kid like that was just totally talking about things that it's totally non-relevant to what society believes in.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a quick question. I've never asked you this before. Was he stationed in Hamilton?
He was stationed out of Alameda.
Oh, Alameda. Okay, very interesting. Because you were living right near Hamilton. So
no, when he was stationed in Alameda, they lived in San Francisco. He was in the Sunset District in San Francisco, and then they went to Pacifica and bought their first home in Pacifica.
Oh, okay. And then how did you guys end up in Terra Linda?
Well, my dad, like I said, got a job with, I didn't tell you this, but he was actually a district manager for the Coca-Cola bottling company in
cool.
In
well,
San
you know,
Francisco.
this is very interesting, but guess what? We've hit our first break already, and we got two more to come. So we're going to have to take a break, folks, so we'll be back and more stories from Mike Davis, lifelong experiencer. You guys can't miss this. We'll be right back. All right, back to Mike. Mike, are you still with me?
I'm still here, Lori.
Okay, great. And Susie, you still there too?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, good. Because I know we're going to have questions for you, dear, at some point during the conversation. So, okay. So we were at the point where we were discussing that it's your father, but we'll just call him that from now on.
I call him Dad.
Father.
I do call him Dad.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So we'll say your dad. He's career Air Force, and you ended up in Marin County in Terra Linda, pretty much Terra Linda, Lucas Valley area, and the beans are coming in the house. And then what happens? You're 4.5, 5 years old. What happens at that point? When's the next incident you remember?
Next incident, I had a tree fort in that backyard, which I told you about. These go on and on and on, these incidents, just so you know. They're just too many of them to really isolate each one.
But get through them in 2 hours? Or an hour and a half?
I'll try. I'm going to try. Okay, let me try to summarize them the best I can.
Because a lot of them are in your book, too, right?
Yes, they are. And my book is available just by Googling Michael Davis Falling Sky.
Yeah. You know, before we get into the story, let's do this. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, where your book is to be found, how they can get it, and what they can do to support you and Susie.
Okay. The book, Falling Sky, is available just by simply Googling Michael Davis Falling Sky. Click the Amazon Kindle link, and it'll take you right to the book. My videos are on YouTube, and there's several playlists. There is Michael Davis Alien Abduction Experiences. Then there is Alien Abduction Talk Disclosure. And those are the two primary ones. There's a lot of other playlists in there, but those two primary playlists that get you to my story and what my life is about. And it's not everything, but I'm constantly updating it and constantly putting new stuff out. I have a new video that was just uploaded tonight. That is one of the most significant videos I think that I've really done, and it's not been posted yet. I just got finished uploading. I'm going to release it later tonight after the show. But that one is about, and it's a series, and it's called Earth's Evolutionary Process. And it's what Lorian was just talking about an awakening period. It's even more advanced than an awakening period. What it is, a transitional period. And everybody is, and even if you don't believe in aliens, everybody is involved with this one way or the other. It's just going to be a very huge event that's going to transpire for us all. This is something that I've been informed by my family, my cosmic family, however you want to call them, my family. This is what my mission is. This is what they've been doing. They've been grooming me for all of my life. Is what's coming up for us all. This is why I'm here doing what I'm doing now. It's not really about my experiences. My experiences are my personal experiences.
Right.
But they all let up.
We each get different types of experiences. Like, I don't have your experiences, but I know I'm in contact with them.
Oddly enough, what I'm finding out, and I have a couple. There's probably I can think of a handful of people, and I mean literally a handful of people that are like I am, very linked. Okay, that they're like me. Okay, but I'm not saying there's not other. There's a lot of people who are contactees and abductees, and however you want to put it. Some people hate that term abductee, but I don't know. I use any term I can for it just to get it out there. But there's millions of people who are being contacted, okay? And it's all leading up to a very grand scenario, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but we want to cover a little more territory before I get to what this new video is about that I'm going to be releasing.
Yeah, let's do that at the end of the show. Keep you guys all on pins and needles, as they say. So great. So, okay, so we're now they can find you again. How? They go to...
the book, simply Google Michael Davis, Falling Sky.
Falling Sky. Okay.
You'll see it.
Excellent.
Okay, the videos on YouTube, and there's Michael Davis Alien Abduction Experiences, and then there is the Alien Abduction Talk Disclosure. These are 2 playlists, and you can find those on YouTube. If you just find Michael Davis on YouTube, you'll see all of my videos, and there's a lot of different things, the Alien Matrix, there's a lot of different things in there, and for me to list them all, I can't write it all down. If you just find me on YouTube under Michael Davis, Google Michael Davis Alien Abduction Talk on Google, and click one of the YouTube videos, and it'll take you to my channel, and then you can kind of sort through the videos there.
Excellent.
You can also find Michael on Facebook.
Yes, I'm also on Facebook. I'm at a point that I'm pretty much almost having to take just followers, because at Facebook only allows 5,000 people, but please, you're welcome to become my follower. I might have a few more slots left on Facebook. I'm not sure. I think last time I looked, I thought there was like maybe 20 slots left or something like that.
But am I your friend?
Absolutely, Lori.
I don't even, how...
No, Lori, I just deleted and blocked you.
You guys are cracking me up because I hate Facebook with the passion.
You are.
Absolutely, Lori. Absolutely, you're my friend.
Oh, good.
That's funny. People message all the time. People message me all the time. Even if you aren't my friend, I have a public Facebook, so you can message me with questions. You can leave comments. Some of them aren't too nice. Some of them are. As you said, the way I was raised with my dad, I handle people who are what do you want to say, naysayers and people who like to ridicule. They get it right back from me, okay? Because I'm not in the mood from dealing with what I've dealt with my dad over this stuff all of my life. I am not in the mood to deal with naysayers and ridiculists and all of that. I am strictly supportive of the alien abduction experiences for everybody and what the phenomenon means, okay? For people to sit there and say, you know what, to me, a simple mind is someone who says there are no aliens, because if you look at our universal expanse and realize there are billions and billions of different solar systems within our universal expanse, and within those solar systems, to think that in those billions of solar systems, to think that humans are the only ones that exist, that's a very simple, limited mind. I'm sorry. It just isn't my perspective.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Let's be honest about this.
Yeah,
So, right?
Absolutely true. Yeah, and Facebook
here's what the awakening experience is leading to, Lori, and also another thing is people, okay, we the alien experiencers, hybrids, abductees, we were considered dinosaurs at one particular point. It's no longer that way. It's totally reversed. The role is reversed, okay? We are now the advanced people, and the people who are saying, oh, get your tinfoil hats and this and that, those people are suddenly falling backwards, and they feel like they're left out of place. And this is what's supposed to happen. That's going to get into later on. We'll get into that later on. But that's part of this whole evolutionary process. There's going to be a major shift, and you're already witnessing it. We're all witnessing it. This whole alien phenomenon and extraterrestrial phenomenon. I like to call them more, actually, personally, is what they are to me, is multidimensional beings, and that's what they really are.
Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly how I feel. That's why I call everybody who is having some type of contact, I call them experiencers, because they're really having their own personal experience with these other dimensional beings. And I, all my life, grew up thinking they were my angels.
They are.
They are, exactly.
They are.
And the point is that mine aren't little grays. Mine are just a little different than that. So, I
have, Lorian, I have in those videos, you'll see videos of different, out of that same property, and you know where it is, and I'd rather not mention it on the air.
Yeah, don't mention it.
Please don't mention where the property, you know where it is. I don't want to mention it.
I would never
because
mention
it's a very sacred place. That place, I'm going to tell you, we've made several trips out there since we came back up from Southern California, and every time I go out there, the last time was 2013 when I was actually summoned out there, and I was told Susie on the way to the wedding, I said, we need to stop by the farm where I grew up. She goes, why? I said, because I have to be there. And that's when I want to tell you, when I went into that barn, I captured the images of the grays and all these different things there. My old science project's still on the wall from back in 6th grade. That's in the newspaper.
I know.
Oh, my God. But when we went in that barn, this is new that you don't know, and we just realized because we pulled out the original SD card just recently on one of our videos.
Oh, did you? Because you showed me the pictures. So
I showed you some. I know. I didn't show you all of the pictures. I showed you maybe the orb, and I didn't have enough time at the group fund meeting. But in those pictures, I want you to know that there's something very unique that happened. There's 10. When I went in that barn, there are 10 exposures that were taken in that barn. The family sat in the car while I went in there and took these pictures. Well, I want to let you know that when we pulled the original SD card out just recently, because I have it locked up, I've never erased the SD card. I saved the actual card to prove that these are actual images. Well, when you look at the image properties on those on that SD card, there is a 1 second modification on each image before the created time. Okay, so.
What?
I thought, yeah, and this is just so bizarre. I called the Canon Corporation first. Actually, the way it happened is I called 3 different camera shops. Every one of them said it's just impossible to happen with. I spoke with the gentleman up at Shutterbug here on Santa Rosa Avenue.
Yeah.
And the man said to me, he says, it can't happen. He says, the only way I can think of, and I didn't even tell him what the subject matter was on those images. He says, the only way that could possibly happen is if you were time traveling when you took the picture. He said, you can't have a modified time before a created time. I said, there might be a little.
It doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah, and I said, there might be some reality to this. And so I called the Canon Corporation. I told a few people about it, and they transferred me to a technician. And I asked the technician, I explained exactly what was going on, and he says, it can't happen. He says, it's not possible to have a modified time before a created time. I said, but I do. I said, I have it on 10 images, 1 second. He says, I don't know how that can happen. He said, I can't explain it. And then I started telling him what's on the images. He goes, well, maybe you are explaining how it could happen.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So there's a time shift. And when I was in the barn, I was in the camera properties. What they show on the 10 images, there's 10 images shot, and for all 10 images, there's approximately 1 minute and 23 seconds elapsing between all images. That's all 10 images. Then there's about maybe 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out, because I went in and out while they were waiting in the car. And I want to tell you that that's 1 minute 23 plus 20 seconds is 1 minute 43 seconds for total time in that barn. When I went in the barn, they were parked in the car in one area, okay? When I came back out, they had completely backed the car all the way up. I couldn't even see the car, and they were back where one of the first orbs came to me as a kid out of the barn window right there where those blackberry bushes were, where I was picking blackberries when I saw an orb with the face in it. And they were sitting in the car there waiting for us. How'd they get back there? I wasn't in there long enough. And my grandson was sitting in that car, so I said, oh. So they were ordaining my grandson right there while he was in the car. But I get in the car, and they said I was in there forever, said I was in there for 5 minutes.
He was in there for 5 minutes.
It's impossible. The camera properties don't lie.
We were, the rest of us that were in the car were getting antsy.
So we
were watching the clock because we were already late for a wedding.
This is so bizarre, you guys, and I think I mentioned this to you at the last time I saw you guys at the meeting, but maybe not. I have become very convinced that time travel, and my entities told me this, by the way, my angels told me this. They brought me a vision, and they said that, they brought me several visions, but the last one, they accumulated, Mike, with this statement. They said, love is the key, but time travel is the answer.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So I was like going, well, the answer to what? But anyhow.
Well, on that same property,
a number of ways.
on that same property, when we first, I was summoned. Okay, in 2009, we were living in Southern California. I told Susie, I said, we needed to move up north. I said, I need to write a book. I need to write my book, and I need to be in the area where it happened to write the book. So I was being pulled. I was having dreams that I needed to get back here. So that's what we did. We moved back to Northern California, where we are now, in Sonoma County. And right when we just got back here, I said, we need to go back out to the farm. I said, I need pictures out there. And so we were, oddly enough, this is a weird thing, too, because on our way back out to my niece's place out in the farm, she lived out in Bodega, and on our way out there, because we're having a family reunion, we just showed back up, and we're having a family reunion out there. As we are heading out there, I said, I'm stopping by, and I'm going to shoot some more images, okay? And so there was another type of reunion going on. Well, in those images that I shot, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of different beings and faces, and they look like humans, all different. All of them are different. Okay, all these faces are all different faces. It's amazing, is it not, Susie? The images are just like...
It really is.
I put a bunch of them out there, but there's just so many faces, and it would take me the rest of my life to get all the images and actually put them out there the way it is. But it's just, to me, it was a reunion, and everybody who's seen these say, they're staring right at the camera, and they are. They're staring right at me, and they're staying hidden, but I couldn't figure out why they were staying hidden, but they weren't when I went in the barn. And then I realized something. They were staying hidden because I was there with Susie, I was there with my little brother Bill, and my son Michael, and the thing was, they knew me, but they were being introduced to the rest of the family.
Gotcha.
So they were standing at bay, but they were actually posed right down to even being in the barn window with a face right in the barn window. It's just incredible.
I'm telling you, I'm not surprised, Mike. I'm really not surprised, and I'm really happy you guys did move back up here because honestly, there's something about this area that people tell me all the time. They say, Lauren, you've got to get out. We're going to have a big earthquake and everybody's going to die. And I said, no, my beings have never told me that. They've always said, you need to do this. You need to be in Petaluma. This is where you're going to do it. This is, they basically told me this. Why would they tell me? Why?
You want to know why Sonoma County is a hotspot for them?
Why? I don't have a clue.
I can tell you right now. I will tell you why.
Okay.
What is Sonoma Napa County known for?
Wine.
And where does wine come from?
Grapes.
Sweets, glucose for high glucose beings. I am insulin. Personally, I'm a hybrid. I'm insulin resistant. Okay. In other words, it takes copious amounts of insulin to keep my blood sugars down, and that's even eating low carb diets. Okay. So my blood sugar is elevated like they are. So they're high energy. What they thrive on is protein and glucose.
No, that's so interesting you said that.
Hey, the pear tree, remember during the MUFON meeting, the pear tree that was in our yard that my dad told me and my brother to go out to cut the branches off. We went out there, the orb was in the tree shaking and vibrating, and I said, we went in the house. My dad said, you guys are nuts. And he went out there, give me that thing. He started to cut down that pear tree, and lo and behold, he almost fell off his ladder. They started shaking his ladder. He almost killed himself trying to cut down that pear tree. And oddly enough, today, I was eating a pear. Today, and it was weird. It was one of the brown Asian pears, and as I cut into the center of it, I showed this to Susie. I said, what do you see in there? What was it? The insides of those look like little alien faces. It's bizarre, but it really does.
I got to look at that, Susie. Oh, my God, that sounds so cool.
Yeah. It's the fruit. It's the high glucose. Okay, when we went up, I had that bike accident. I don't know if you remember when I had the bike accident.
I do remember. I was so
yeah. My head was shaved. I looked like I
Yeah.
got to be honest. Heck, I mean, being honest, I looked terrible. And at that particular point, I had gotten called by a certain individual who wanted me to do an audition for History Channel's Hangar 1, History Channel 2, Hangar 1 UFO Files host position. And I was laid up, and he said, we need to audition. I forced myself. But anyway, to make a long story short, we went up to Sonoma Mountains where the huge orb appeared behind the tree, and my brother and I experienced 45 minutes missing time. And while I was filming that, I noticed something behind the tree where that orb appeared, and I'd never noticed it before, but there's a honeybee hive right inside of that tree. And I said, oh my God. And it was just swarming with honeybees, and they're busy working. You can see the hive just dripping in there in the video. You can say, oh, there's honey in that tree. Sweet, it's glucose again.
Yeah, very interesting. You know, and you also have Rh negative blood, don't you?
No, I have O positive.
You're
Susie's
O
Rh
positive.
negative.
Oh, you're
Yes.
Rh. Okay. I couldn't remember what you were, but I knew it was kind of extraordinary. O negative is the universal, and you're just the opposite, right?
I'm the opposite.
Yes, he is.
No, there's no rhyme or reason why I'm the whole blood, the Rh negative thing. There's no rhyme or reason why I'm not. I'm being honest about that. It just matters what's happened to your DNA, what's happened to you, where you are originating from. First of all, I want you to know we are all hybrids. Every one of us are a hybrid. Okay, we came from ancient hominids, and we've been watered down. Everybody on this planet is watered down from hominids. Okay, altered. You've been altered. We've been genetically altered. I think it's something like 80 sometimes from hominids into what we are to these advanced humans. They aren't advanced. Okay, what's happening here is there's people who are primaries. Okay, I'm a primary. I have friends who are primaries. Okay, and that means they're hybrid and they're direct cuts off the block from either some sort of being out there, some race out there mixed with humans. And then what happens, the mother gives birth to that child, then that child reproduces with other human offspring, and what happens, it becomes more watered down, almost like a Kool-Aid or orange juice when you use a concentrate. If you don't water it down, it doesn't mix right, and it has a lot of problems. It doesn't taste right, and you can't drink it even. That's what's happening to people like me and other people who are the primaries, because there's a lot of genetic things going on that people aren't used to. With, you know, my issue with the fetuses coming out of my skin, embryos.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And guess what? It's our second break, so we got to take it. But wow, folks, wait till you hear the rest of the story, as they say. We'll be right back. Okay, back to Mike Davis. Mike, where were we when we left off? But we got so many things to talk about.
The Pentagon. We need to give them the right information, because they don't have all the right information. All they want is the war technology.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I know.
They're not getting the good stuff. All they get is the bad things.
I know. I wish they would get some good stuff. Like,
right?
How about healing all of us? You know, they have the technology.
That's when you want to broach the subject of Earth's evolutionary process, that's discussed in there too.
Good. Well, we're going to get to that, definitely. Let's go back, though, real quickly. I wanted to mention one thing to you. This last weekend, and I completely forgot about it while you were talking. You talked about the pear tree incident. I want you to bring that up again and get a little more into detail about it. But this last weekend, I was up with two guys, and I'm not going to say their names right now because they don't want me to. But we were up investigating UFO crash sites and a place that we think has an underground military base. And what was funny about this, Mike, is that there are pear orchards all around it.
Go figure. Right?
When you said that, I went, oh,
blackberries and pears. Blackberries and pears, just so you know. Out of that property that I'm speaking of, there's blackberries, pears, there was apples, there's all types of fruit trees everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's what this place was. It was completely surrounded, but my mind was really surprised because there were tons of pear trees at the base of this area where...
Let me tell you another little story, too. A little story out there, too, and this is not written out in the book, but I'll share it, and I've shared it with Susie, and that's about it. When I moved out to that place out there on the farm, my sister had a pet deer, a little baby deer that she got. Somebody hit it in their car, and my sister raised it and bottle fed it up to adult deer, and then I think it got big, and she was kind of in town but not in town. And it's against the law to have a deer. So my sister, when we moved out there, we tried to release the deer out there, the little baby deer, and it was like a little dog. I'm telling you, we released it, and it just kept crying, kept coming back. The thing wound up following us everywhere, so we'd feed it. It was just the sweetest little pet. Okay,
right.
And there's a reason I'm telling you this, because this is interesting. The thing was just, it used to sleep in our neighbor's bed across the street and everything else, okay? But anyway, I hadn't seen it. She used to come out. Her name was Amber, and I hadn't seen her in a few days, and she used to come out every morning, and I'd give her some little fruit or whatever, and she loved it. And I hadn't seen her, and I went across the street to our neighbors and asked if they had seen Amber. And she says, no. She says, we haven't seen her in a couple of days. And so I said, they had like 147 acres. I said, can I go check out your property, see if I can find her up there? I thought maybe she's injured or something. Anyway, I walked up that hill, and I got way up in their property, and all of a sudden I saw her. And when I found the deer, I'm going to tell you, it was the most bizarre sight. She was missing her eyes. She was, her eyes were taken out of her. Her body looked like it was surgically cut in certain areas. There was not a sight of blood, and she was dead. And the vultures wouldn't even come near her.
Wow. See, that's a typical mutilation site.
Mm-hmm. And she was such a sweet little thing, and she probably went right up to them, too. She probably
did, yeah.
Protein.
The little grays or whatever.
Here's the protein and glucose. Okay, the eyes, all the organs that they take, and that's what they did. I guess I know why she was surgically cut. They're taking out organs. These are organs into their hearts and things like that, and they were surgically cut like little round holes into her. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what they're taking is the protein. They eat the protein. They also use it for genetic material. I'm learning. I learn more and more as I go along. Okay, it's genetic material.
Mike, let me ask you a question about this. This is something that I've been discussing kind of in private with a lot of people that have had contact and know about the animal mutilation and what it's really being used for. And have you heard that they're not actually digesting it? They're making it into kind of a paste, and they put it on the outside of their body to be absorbed. Have you heard this?
No, they ingest it. The protein, they survive off protein. That's one of their.
But how are they ingesting it? Because they don't really have the same kind of internal stomach that we do.
Well,
so how are
they do?
They
eat. They actually do eat. They eat just like we do, just not the same thing. They eat the same things we do, but a very select diet of what we do. They eat lots of different things. They're high, like I said, high protein, high glucose beings, and that's what they survive off of. See, the problem is people like to theorize on this, on what's actually going on with them. Is that nothing's ever been released. If the government actually did have dead beings, hangar at Area 51 or wherever, Roswell, or wherever they may have said that they've had these dead beings, they've never gotten anything other than downed crafts, because I personally don't believe that our government is hiding aliens underground. I from what I'm understanding, from what these beings are relating to me, they don't like the governments. As a matter of fact, that's part of our evolutionary process. The governments are being removed completely. There won't be any governments. They don't need middlemen between them and us. The people they want in place are already in place. They've already been selected. They know who they are, and those are the people that will work directly with these beings. And then we will have a whole new world. It's going to be a totally different existence. It's a whole evolutionary process to where things will war machines will disappear. There will be no monetary structure anymore. There won't be any fossil fuels being used. There's already, and within the multidimensional realm, there are advanced structures already in place that we can't see, and it's like a veil will be lifted at some point that they will appear, and you'll see everything. And there's already stargates in place. The triangle craft that you saw, and that you said at the senior center down there.
Yeah.
The one I saw out on the farm, and this one was, I'll mention this place, is out on Eucalyptus Avenue in Petaluma. I'm not going to give the exact address, but we had a 7-acre parcel out there, and the craft that I saw was that took me in, and I had 20 minutes of missing time, and I was late for work and everything else, was as wide as our 7-acre parcel, and it was translucent. It was transparent. You could see through it. It hovered. Didn't make a single sound when it hovered above me. Had one light at the bottom of it, and then just started flashing. It was orange, and it started flashing purple, and then I was back I was back, okay?
Well, you know what? Let's tell the story about that because,
that was,
you know,
that was an interesting...
this is a main event.
It wasn't, first of all, I want to get to the point, and this was a cargo craft that I wound up going in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what it was. And there are bases here, but they aren't, the government doesn't know about it. First of all, most of the bases are either under Antarctica or they're under our oceans that are uncharted that we don't know anything about, okay? And that's the bottom line. Is the government is more blind. As a matter of fact, people like me and other people like me know more about these beings than our government does. Yes, they probably are listening in because they don't know anything. They're not interested in being taken to our leader. They don't want to know about our leader. Our leader is bent on monetary wars and destruction. They're full of debauchery and everything bad possible. Okay, that's all. I'm not trying to put down government. I really am not, but that's all they do. They fight country after country over money, oil, you name it, fossil fuels. They deplete our planet of every possible resource, and it's all over monetary. Everything's about money and how they can fatten their pocketbooks and bank accounts, get more stocks and bonds, whatever it is they need. Okay, that's the bottom.
And live a satanic lifestyle. And I said
that's right.
I mean it.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Illuminati. Okay, that event that happened that was on Eucalyptus Avenue in Petaluma, and I lived in a cottage. Actually, I built a little cottage when I was in my 20s on my parents' property, and I was up on top of a hill, and we had surrounded it with a bunch of pine trees. Like my brother built a place right next to mine. And we bought like 120 Monterey pine seedlings, planted them when we built them.
I remember planting those.
Yes, and anyway, they got to be big trees out there, and we're really secluded out there. And in order to get to the parking lot where I parked the car, it was a hike through the field, and I put cobblestones down. It was kind of a mess in the winter. But I used to work in Hillsburg. I was working at a cabinet shop, and I had to commute from Eucalyptus Avenue in Petaluma up to Hillsburg, and I had to be there by 6 in the morning. So I would leave my house it took me about 45 minutes to get to work, so I'd leave my house at 5 a.m., and that'd give me, I used to smoke back then, it'd give me 15 minutes to smoke cigarettes and have some coffee before I went to work. So I get up, it's 5 in the morning. I leave my house at 5 in the morning, and I wore wristwatch at the time, and I'm checking my watch. I always checked it to the microwave and to the bedroom clock to make sure that I was correct. I leave at 5 o'clock. I walk down through the field, which was pitch black at the time. There was no lighting or anything, and I just knew my way down through the field. I have my cup of coffee in my hand. I go through the gate to the parking lot, and just pitch black, and except for the security light was on out there. And as I unlock my door to my car. I put my coffee on top of the car, and I put my key in the ignition. As I back out to grab my coffee off the top of the car, I look up and I see this gigantic, and I mean, it wasn't making a sound, but it was this gigantic black triangle craft, okay? In our 7-acre parcel, it was wider than our 7-acre parcel. It just moved ever so slow. It was just like crawling up to me. It didn't make a sound. I could just see it crawling up to me. And as it got over me, it stopped right above me. And while I'm going, what the is this, right? And I'm looking up.
Yeah, at least.
Right, and I'm looking up, and I'm just examining this thing, and it's like all I could see is the stars through it, okay? I could see it kind of like translucent, not making a sound, and I could see the air, the sky around it actually moving, but the craft didn't move. We don't have a craft that doesn't make a sound, not the hovers. I mean, we have hovering fixed wings craft, but they're very loud. They use jet turbo engines. They're loud. This thing was silent, and it would get more and more translucent and more visible, and it had one orange light in the center of it. And then as I'm looking up, all of a sudden the orange light gets brighter and then turns purple, starts flashing. What the heck was that? Then all of a sudden it just starts moving again. It starts just right over the mountains, heading over the mountains off towards west, towards the coast, okay? And anyway, I hop in my car, go to work. I get to work, and usually, remember, I'm supposed to be 15 minutes early. I get to work, I hop out of my car, I see all the cars already at work, everybody's already working. I'm usually one of the earlier ones. And I go in the shop, and I see everybody working. So I go to figure they must have came in early, so I go to get my coffee and go to head out the door. And my work buddy says to me, my supervisor goes, Mike, where are you going? I go out to have a cigarette and smoke, Alex. And he goes, get to work, you're late. I go, I'm not late. I've never been late in my life to work. Never once.
Right, exactly.
So he says, I said, I'm not late. Look at my watch. He says, your watch is wrong. He says, you're late. Look at the time clock. And it was 20 after. So there's 15 and 20 is 35 minutes. 35 minutes, 20, 15, 20 is 35 minutes. I'm 35 minutes late. So when that purple light flashed, I was taken aboard that craft, and memories surfaced about the craft later. There were beings all around me. The craft itself was a gigantic cargo craft, and that craft was used for transporting goods from the universal expanse. Throughout the universal expanse, they traveled through stargates, bringing goods to their underground bases that they need here. Okay, this is what's going on without us even knowing about it. Our government doesn't know about it. I mean, they don't have a clue. They'd like to know about it. They see things travel at speeds that they can't even explain, going from Canada all the way over to from whatever Canada all the way over to Ukraine and whatever it was, Russia, in a matter of 10 seconds. It's not possible. It's not even a possible scenario for this to happen. So they want to know about this technology. That's what they want. They want the technology out of this, but they don't want to advance for humanity. They want the technology to build bigger and better wars, so they can.
Yep,
that's what's
exactly.
going on. Okay. The bottom line is the key players in what this evolutionary process is going to be are the people. People like you and I. These are the key players, and these are the people who are going to be part of this whole advancement. And it's going to happen very fast when it happens. And the resistance, there's going to be a lot of resistance. There's people who still feel they don't want anything to do with aliens. I have people tell me, I see one of those dirty buggers, I'll shoot them. I said, how could you say something like that? I said,
and why would you? They're not hurting you. Yeah.
I know. And that bothers me so much when I hear people say that. And it's a common thing a lot of people say. If they did that to me, I'd just shoot them. I said, how? I said, dude, how can you think of this? Shooting a being. It's an extraterrestrial race. It isn't harming you. Why would you want to shoot it? They say they kill animals. I said, so do you. You eat meat. You put steak on a barbecue. You cook hamburgers, whatever you are. You're killing animals, too. I said, all they're doing is surviving like we are. I said, what is wrong with that? When you get down to it, they don't know what to say. Okay, the bottom line is that. But that was that incident, and that's what I was on board, was a cargo craft.
Can I ask what happened on the ship? Do you have any memory of it?
I remember the ship. It was a very short incident. What I remember is the craft, and I just remember being around a lot of beings and pieces of it. And I remember, I think the whole idea, premise behind the visit was me to understand what it was as a cargo craft, for me to understand, yes, they are here, yes, they are shipping things here, and that's what I got out of it, okay? So that's what the idea of being on the craft was to insert these memories into my head to share it right now with other people and everybody else. This is what's going on. I've been on all kinds of crafts. I've been on that triangle crafts. I've been on the orbs. The orbs I've seen shrink down to even smaller than a dime. I've seen the orbs as small as a just tiny little speck of a pinhead disappear, okay? Then I've seen them as large as Neptune. My friend and I saw 3 gigantic harvest moons with another one above us, making 4 moons in the sky back in 77 up in Manor Lane in Petaluma. The 3 moons were crossed by Tamales, and then there was another moon above us. So these are Neptune-sized crafts that look like a harvest moon when they're out there. So that's just the size of a planet. And so they're capable of any different sizes. And I've also been in a hovercraft that resembled almost like a van, like a white cargo van, except with no windows, no wheels, and it just hovered across the ground. That was the one that took me off the side of the road in that chapter of my book, Terror Drive, when I was on my way to work. That was
Can we talk? We're going to have to take a break in 5 minutes. Can we do that story in 5 minutes? Because I'm telling you, that one cracks me.
It's a long one. No, actually, that one's kind of an impossible to get in 5 minutes, but I can get up to the point to where it's happening, and then we'll get on to what happened on the craft.
Well, just tell about the guys that came up to the car, because I still laugh when you tell that story.
My car, he saw what happened is that while I was on this craft, he was cruising to work, and he saw my car in the middle of the field out there. If you're heading up to Hillsburg, it's about 2 miles south of the first Hillsburg exit before there was any wineries or anything out there. So there was just empty field. He saw my car sitting out in the middle of the field, okay? And he said, "What the hell?" And he goes, "What?" So he said he stopped. He said he went out, he walked, he thought something was wrong with me. As he went out there, he says, I was nowhere in the car. He says, the windows are rolled up. I saw your keys in the ignition. He says, what I want to know is, how the You get your car out in the middle of the field, Mike. I couldn't explain it. At the time, Lorian, at work, I could not explain it. I don't even really know how I got out in the field until after, and it rationalized everything that happened.
Right.
All I know is it happened. I was bewildered. I remember what happened on the craft. They allowed me memories of being taken out of my car. I remember my car lifting off the road. I remember going out into the field. I remember me feeling hot and disappearing out of my car. I remember hiding in the back seat. I remember being in that craft, and that was a very long event.
Describe the people that walked up to the car that took you into the craft, because there
was three gray beings, probably about 4.5, 5 feet, 4.5, probably 4.5 feet, and there was one tall humanoid being that was probably about 7, 8 feet, and that one was actually wearing a black hat.
A black hat. See, that's the part.
A black hat. I know. That is so bizarre. But when I got on the craft, he was naked. They were all naked.
What?
So
he was naked too?
They were all naked. The only reason when I asked, "Where's my clothes?" and where are my clothes? I said, "You don't need them when you're with us." They said, "We wear clothing when we go to your world because it's customary there. When we're in our world, we don't wear clothing, and neither will you." So that's.
Now I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. I know Susie's like, yeah, ask the question. The question is, did he have genitalia, the one that looked like a...
No.
What?
No.
Nothing?
No, nothing.
How bizarre.
No
So
sex. They're asexual beings. The ones I've been with are asexual beings. They don't reproduce having sex. They have egg layers in their system. They lay egg layers, lay eggs, and they all give birth. The eggs are laid in a pouch like a kangaroo, and they grow in a brood pouch. So these people are saying they're having sex with these beings. I've never experienced it. I've had experience after experience after experience in my life. I've never experienced sex with these beings. I'm just being honest about it.
I'm just laughing because I kind of wish I would have sex with one of them. But
you know how many people want that?
I don't know how many.
I get messages. You know, you could ask Susie. She said, my Facebook, I get messages from people saying, "Hey, can you hook me up with an alien? I want to have sex with that." Come on, dude. This one dude. This one, I'm not going to mention his name. This one guy says, "Oh, it's my dream. I just had to have sex with an alien woman." He says, "With 3 feet." I go, "Dude, 3 breaths." I said, "Dude," I'm going to tell you right now. I said, "You're dreaming." I said, "If that's what you're wishing for," I said, "you better do it in your dreams."
Oh, God, that's so funny.
They are. Let me put it this way: sex is a human condition.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Darn.
It's a human condition. They are advanced beyond us. They do reproduce, but they don't reproduce that way. Almost like seahorses, okay? They have an egg layer, and it's a hormone, and that's what's going on with me in my system. There's an egg layer in my system, and it's being triggered by a hormone.
We're going to talk about that in just a minute because we've got to take our final break tonight. This has been fantastic, Mike. I want to thank you so much. And we got another
no problem. I can go all day on it.
I know. We got another half hour to go, so let's take that break, folks. We'll be back, and we're going to talk about Mike's condition when we get back. So stay with us.
All right.
Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show, where we're wrapping it up here tonight with Mike Davis and his lovely wife, Susie. And I'm telling you, folks, I've known Mike and Susie now for a few years, and every time I talk to them, some extraordinary stories come out, and he's shared quite a few tonight. But I think near the end of the show, what we're going to do is I'm going to have Mike talk a little bit about what he thinks is going to happen in the future, and we'll get away from the abduction or contactee stories or experiencer stories just for a little bit, and then we're going to do questions if we got some time. So let's hope we do. I've got 3 questions already prepped and ready for you, Mike, from the chat room. So we'll see if we can get to them. So if you don't mind, first off, tell people a little bit about your skin condition, if you don't mind sharing.
No, I don't mind sharing.
Tell us about what your vision of the future is beyond what you've already said, if there is more to it. Okay?
Okay, but my skin issue, as I said, I am a hybrid, and aliens, the beings I've been with, are asexual. They reproduce through a brood pouch, okay? They have an egg layer in their system. All of them give birth, okay? And this egg layer lays the egg into the pouch where it gestates almost like a kangaroo or a seahorse, and the baby is born out of the pouch. Well, the problem here with people who are like me, the hybrids that are actually hybrids, because I'm up on that pyramid up at the top there where I am split from alien to human, and I'm where there's a primary there. I have the same thing going on with me. I have that hormone triggering an egg layer in my system, but there is no brood pouch for young to gestate in. So what's happening is these eggs are being laid under my epidermis. That's the only other place these egg layers can lay. What can stop this process would be a birth control pill, hormonal pill, to stop the egg layer from receiving the signals to lay these eggs. But just at this point, there's no federal diagnosis code for what I have, so doctors are incapable of doing anything like that. What's happening is I actually have baby alien fetuses growing under my skin, and I put pictures out there on Facebook. I'm sure a lot of you have seen them, and you can see the actual baby in these fetuses. Can you not, Susie?
Yes, you can.
I've been to specialist after specialist after specialist for this. I have, and the bottom line is, as I'll reiterate, there is no federal diagnosis code for this condition, so there is no treatment. So people who are undergoing this condition, there's nothing you can do except suffer the consequences of it. So that's one of the consequences.
Mike, did they think at first this was Morgellons?
Actually, what the one dermatologist I saw was he was the chief dermatologist for Kaiser Permanente. I'll mention it right now, chief dermatologist for Kaiser Permanente, and he was in the Northern California Morgellons. He was part of the Northern California Morgellons clinic. I'm not going to mention his name, but what he told me, he says, you have the most extreme case of Morgellons I've ever seen. He looked at my images of the exudates on the computer, and he says, I see everything here. He says, I see fetus. He says, I see the arms, legs. He says, I see everything. He says, I don't know what to do about this. He says, I don't know how to stop this. He says, I don't know what to do. He says, nothing we can do. He says, sometimes in life, he says, there's things we can treat. He says, then there's things or not. He says, this is something we cannot treat. So that's where I'm at. I suffer with.
Now, Mike, have they taken one of those little pouches and cut it open and got DNA samples?
They've taken exudates. They've taken exudates. They've taken biopsies. The biopsies say nothing foreign. Here, okay. Biopsies say nothing foreign. So there is nothing foreign because we are all hybrids. Okay, human beings are part aliens.
Right.
They created us. So when it goes through a lab and they're looking for something foreign, there's nothing foreign. There's no alien. People say a special gene for aliens. There is none. We are them and they are us. Okay, we are so close that there's no difference when they're looking at it in a lab. Okay, so there's nothing foreign. There's no infection. I've had cultures. There's no infection. There's no cancers. It's coming up blanks for everything. And so he says, there's no treatment. Because nothing's coming up, there's no treatment. He says, we can't do anything. So I walk out of there with no treatment after visit, after them cutting plugs out of my skin and everything else. I still have no treatment for this. The only thing I can suggest... very extremely painful. So the way I've explained it... It's like giving birth out of your skin. Yes, when they grow and they grow, and then they have to be taken out. They have to be taken out. And that's all there. That's all there's.
Okay, now wait a minute. Now is this okay? I'm going to get a really weird graphic here for a second. But is it like Alien, but a little tiny version of it? Does it pop out and rip your skin and?
Kind of. God. Yeah, Susie, explain it. You explain it, Susie. I think somebody else's perspective on this would be good. You explain how it comes out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to work out to get it, but a lot of times these things get to be so, I guess, swollen, for lack of a better word, that they'll make their way out. They'll just pop a little hole and
wake up in the middle of the night and they're coming out.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and that's what happens when they come out. They usually look like they are almost an egg. Do they not?
Yeah, I describe them as seeds.
They look like seeds, and that's what's going on. Here's what I believe is honestly going on, what I believe is going on I believe that I probably shouldn't be saying this on the air, but I will. It's blood biomass panspermia is what it is. And basically these things popping out, they go into what? Down a sink, down a toilet, into a garbage can, whatever the exudate where they pop out. And that's what's happening. They go to a landfill, they go to a sewage system out to the ocean eventually, and that's where they will grow and gestate. And so they're seeding our planet, yes, and this is how they seed other planets.
Wow. Now, I've never heard anything like this before. I
bet you haven't.
I hadn't heard that one from you, Mike. I've heard a lot of things from you, but that one I hadn't heard. Now, let me ask you this now, because this brings up a very interesting point. Why don't they just come and get them and take them on the ship?
They do that too. They do that too. I've met duplicates of myself. Just recently.
Oh my God! Really?
Yes.
So
I told Susie all about it.
They're cloning you.
Lorianne, I know people will think I'm crazy, but my third eye is active, and I will tell you right now that my third eye is active, and other people I know have active third eye. I see beings and images and everything else, and I have 2 portals in where I live. And these portals, I see beings' faces, and they'll look at me, blink, whatever. One time I was looking at one of these portals in 2 different places of my house, and when I look in it, I see the beings, a group of beings sitting there, standing there, and all of a sudden appears in front of me as a complete duplicate of me, and I'm looking at myself. I go, what the hell? And every move I made, that being is making the same movement, and that was the weirdest thing I think that's ever happened to me in my life. So it was a duplicate.
I have to say, I absolutely believe you, and here's why. You guys wanted part of my story. I'm going to give you one in a nutshell.
Sure.
When I was in my late teens, I got really, really drunk one night. I'm admitting that I did drink once in a while back then. And I think I got alcohol poisoning. That's how much I drank. And I thought well, here's what happened. I'm laying in bed, and I came out of my body, and I was looking at the back of my hair. And I sat on the side of the bed, and the wall opened up, and a bright light happened, and a woman came towards me. And she was telling me that she was myself, but in a different reality.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a full-grown woman, but it was me.
Yeah.
And
right.
it was the most bizarre thing I'd ever had happen to me. And she talked to me for a while, but I can't remember any of it. All I remember is that I jumped back in my body eventually, because I knew that if I kept talking to her, I was going to die, or I thought I was going to die.
No, you weren't going to die. It's a parallel universe.
Exactly. So at that point in time, I just thought, oh, well, that was weird.
That's all I'm seeing. This multidimensional universe is around us all at all times. Not many people can see it. Very few people are actually linked enough to actually be able to see it. I can see it. Like I said, I know of 3 people that see it. Susie's starting to be able to see it. Susie's starting to be able to see it. I mean, the people I know see everything I see. They see as soon as I put a picture out, they see exactly what I'm seeing. And there's really portals. There's portals everywhere. And like I said, that's what's going on. It's blood biomass panspermia, and that's no different than what we are. And basically, people think it's so far out and scientific, but that's what we were. We were seeded. This planet was seeded, and it's still being seeded. There's going to be evolved beings in this world, and that's where we're headed.
Well, I absolutely believe that. Yeah.
Let me go into that real fast because.
Oh yeah, we got 3 minutes to go into it. Then we got to do questions.
Okay. All right. I can't do it in 3 minutes, but I'll try. All right. Basically, what's going to happen is satellite communications are going to go down. Every war machine out there, tank subs, whatever, is going to be gone. Basically, the governments will be removed, and basically, there's going to be a new system that's going. You know what? The best way for me to explain this, because it's so short, because it's really kind of in depth, is there is going to be a video that I'm going to release after we're off the show, and it will be released on my wall on Facebook, and it will be going into the groups and everywhere else. So that's probably the best place to see it, because it's really kind of in depth, and I don't want to leave parts out.
You too.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's good because this will get people to get on over to your channel and start watching your experiences, because
it's so in depth. It's going to be quite a few. This is just the first episode's like 12 minutes and explains a little bit about me, then goes on to what's going on, and the rest of the episodes is just going to go on to what's going on. But it's going to come down to money disappears. Basically, we evolve. The beings will be living with us. And this world will become the multidimensional platform, which is like being held back by a veil that nobody's seeing, will suddenly become visible to everybody, like it's starting to. Other people are starting to see it. It's going to become every day, and infrastructures, all the cars, trucks, planes, everything that's using fossil fuels are going to be vanished off the face of the earth. All war weapons will be gone off the face of the earth. Basically, it will be launched to the Stone Age, only to be advanced to where we wear transportational devices. We'll no longer use cars, that we will transport to wherever we need to go. Our food will be provided by replicators. We'll be part of a universal expanse system where cargo ships are bringing in huge amounts of what we need. We won't be exhausting this planet anymore. The planet will be renewed, brought back to a pristine condition. It just goes on and on and on. Medicine, we won't age anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, there will be no sickness. We won't age.
No sickness. Cancers, diabetes, everything that I have will be a thing of the past. Birth control won't be a pill device or sterilization. It'll be programmed into that same device. Everything's going to be programmed into that device that you need, okay? And so that it's basically, hospitals will be a thing of the past. You won't go to a hospital. When you have a baby, if you have a baby, it will be transported out of the womb. You won't be going to a hospital. There's no bleeding. This device will sense anything going on in your system and immediately repair it. We will rejuvenate our own system through this. It's a huge thing that's going to happen. In other words, people will be able to go from Earth and live on other worlds and basically make families with other beings, and we'll have other beings living with us. And their religion will go from religions to God becoming an it. It is neither he nor she, and it is the creator of everything. It is a much broader.
That's right.
It is a much broader term than our Muslim, Christian, this and that. Now we're going to an it, what God or the creator. I hate to say God, but I will say the creator. The glue, the fabric holding our entire universal expanse together. It represents everything from animals, women, men, to wood, trees, everything. It is everything. It is a huge descriptive word, okay? So it covers everything. So that's what the creator is. I know exactly
what you're talking about. That's exactly what they've shown me over the years.
But folks, tune into the YouTube channel, and you can watch the video series as it comes out. And this one is being released, like I said, in just a bit.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, great. Okay. Now, one more time before we get to questions, just in case we get cut off, how do they find you on YouTube and on Facebook?
Just look up Michael Davis Alien Abduction Experiences. That should bring you to my YouTube channel. You should be able to get to my YouTube site, and there you can go to my channel.
Great. Wonderful.
Please subscribe.
Okay. Yeah, please subscribe, you guys. I really want Mike to get some support here. And if you can buy his book, please do so, because I'm telling you, folks.
If you're an Amazon Prime customer, it actually is free.
It is free. I forgot. That's how I got to read it, because I'm a Prime customer. So, yeah. So, but all of you guys out there, none of us make any big bucks off of anything. So, just a little bit will help. So we appreciate that. And I know Mike and Susie do too. Okay, let's get to the questions. The first question out of the gate is from Durhuff. He says, what era is Mike describing? Was it the late 60s, 70s, 80s? And he said, thank you to me. And he wanted to know how old you are, too. Carol asked how old you were.
I'm getting older every day. But, the era that I'm speaking of, would be 1964 through...
Was that like when you were 4.5 and it first started?
Yeah, so you already figured out how old I am, okay?
Yeah.
1964 all the way up until the current day, okay? It's been going on all of my life. There is no specific era. It's when my first memories or my first cognitive thoughts and memories actually start forming is when it happens. It was probably going on before that. I have vague memories of other things happening even when I was younger, but I can't establish them as anything with this, so... Because I do not...
Gotcha. So that puts you at about 56, 57,
You nailed it. 56. No older than that, please.
Yeah, okay. I got you, sweetie. I got you. Okay, so that's good. We answered those right quick. Okay, Neutron wants to know, he says, Mike, why do you think everyone who is abducted, although they remember certain parts of their abduction, they never remember how they got from their bedroom or their room, wherever they're at, to the craft and how they got back?
protective mechanism by the beings. The human brain, the average human brain can't handle remembering. They will go into a severe shock and basically shut down. They won't even be able to be cognitive. Like my aunt Cirilla actually had undergone electric shock treatment because she was taken and remembered things, and they put her in an institution and thought she was totally bizarre. But it's a protective mechanism to protect you.
Oh, it is to protect us. That's wonderful.
It's to protect you.
And also, it's very hard to, when I went out of my body one time and went through a wall and I was looking at the fibers in the door, that's just a weird thing. And luckily, I'm who I am. If it was anybody else, I don't think they'd be able to handle that.
Yeah, the average person can't handle this. I'm going to tell you right now. And it's like I said, I was 4 years old when it started. It's been going on all of my life. I've had a whole life to adjust to being able to see in that that multi-dimensional realm. I've had a lot of years to adjust to this. When you have that many years of experiences, then you start remembering them really fully, and a lot of things are being revealed to you. You're not being revealed things in when you're having a few events here and there, because it's too damaging to the human brain. You use 0.1% of it, and if you try to overload it with anything, you're going to shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Okay, and Carol says, does Mike have any clue about what is being shipped to Earth by these other people?
Goods, food, needs, provisions, whatever they need. Everything they need is being shipped to them. And they're on underground bases. Yes, they do exist. There's a war going on right now. The beings, we're not being attacked and annihilated because we have other beings protecting the human life here. There's other beings that want us wiped out. That's also in this video. There's beings that want to annihilate the humans here, just so you know. They don't want us here. They want to take over the planet. The beings that I've been in...
What kind of beings are those?
I'm going to tell you right now, Lorianne, there are millions of other different races, more than millions of other different races of beings. I've only been with handfuls of them, okay? So I couldn't even fathom. I've never been with a reptilian. I know people who have, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's just so many different races out there. They're uncountable. The bottom line is that we have certain beings that are guarding us. They are the guardians of this world and have been ever since the beginning of time, okay? They're protecting this planet. And basically, the beings that we're speaking of would like to annihilate us, and there is a war going on, and there are goods and things being shipped. What exactly is being shipped, I'm not privy to, but they are cargo crafts, and they are shipping other things, other beings, whatever. They're shipping all kinds of things to these underground bases. And like I said, Antarctica, under our oceans, there's USOs. There's so much going on that we don't even know.
Oh my God. Oh my God! Now, do you know if the military has these underground bases as well?
No, they don't. Now, the military has underground bases, but they cannot contain. Let me put it this way: they cannot contain a multidimensional being. Okay, it's really simple. A multidimensional being is capable of walking through walls. There's nothing they can build to contain a multidimensional being. So, anybody hearing stories of the military holding beings hostage, it's a lie. You can't capture one of these beings into a room. They could just walk through a wall. They could vanish. They could just disappear.
Yeah.
They're in realms that we can't see.
Yeah,
everything
that's true.
built by the military is three-dimensional. They operate on a multi-dimensional platform.
Do you know about Dan Burrish and his story about Area 51 and the Gray that stayed there voluntarily?
That's a possibility, I suppose. But
if they wanted to.
If they want to, they will.
Yeah, he's considered an ambassador. He chose to stay, and then he decided at one point he was leaving, and he did.
Yeah, because he realized. Because I tell you right now, and this is what's being channeled right now, is that they've tried with our government. Our government is very diabolic, and they don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. It's just ridiculous.
Blame them.
They want the people. This take me to your leader is not a relevant subject with this. They want the people. The people are what they're interested in. They care about us, okay? They care about human beings. People think that they don't, but the ones that are the guardians of our world do care about you and me and everybody else on this planet. I'm telling you right now. They have grave concerns. They want to bring it back to a pristine condition. The problem, the biggest damage to this planet are the world governments. And I'm not trying to start anything, but the world governments are the ones causing all the problems. We all know it.
The elites.
The elites.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they will not be in charge. They were entrusted to be stewards of this planet, and they've been bad stewards.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree. You have no problem with me.
All of us, I'm sure. If I were to talk to everybody, the only ones that would say, "Oh, he's full of it," would be the governments, right? Come on. Right? It's the only ones I can think of.
I can hear them now. They're all listening and going, "Damn, he's right on, isn't he?" Yeah, we hate that
right. Right. But hang on, folks. It's going to happen. The governments won't be in charge, and we, the people, will have nothing to do with it, okay? Which is beautiful. We don't have to do anything. They'll take care of it. It'll be like a flip of a switch, too. It's not going to be a big, drawn-out thing. That's going to be very immediate. When it happens, it's going to be immediate. So you need to listen to people like me and other people that are talking about this, because there's other people. I heard other people talking about this. This is a big thing that's going on, and you need to be ready for it, because it's going to be very shocking when it happens, and you're going to think it's an alien invasion when it's really not an alien invasion. It's an alien intervention, and that's what we need. Everybody knows it. We need it, but some people just don't want to even admit it. That's the problem.
That's true. Absolutely. Well, and religion is a big problem with that too.
That's why it's got to go to it.
The evil empire brainwashes everybody from birth.
That is why it has to go. The G factor has to go to it, because that creator is much grander than being called God in the cloud. And I'll have a beard. Listen to me. I said, do not sin. Okay, let's get honest about it. Let's be pragmatic about this. It is much grander than that.
It is, and it's much more majestic and loving than people can imagine.
Yes, and I think every being on this planet, every human being on this planet would have to agree, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Buddha, whatever, it is grand. It covers everything. It is large.
And it is love, and that is truly...
It is love. It is acceptance of people. It is caring. It is trying to mend our world, trying to help. I mean, this world is in desperate need of healing.
We are. Well, guys, I'm in desperate need of ending the show.
Yes.
So there we go. It's 10 o'clock. It's time to go. And I want to thank Mike Davis and Susie for being here tonight. It's been wonderful to have you guys. And everybody,
thank you.
Oh,
there's much more. If you want me, I could, like I said, I could talk all day. Have me back some other time too.
I will have you guys back in a little bit. It was always fun. I tell you.
Yeah.
So everybody.